Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, the CMSnetwork.com, and the CMS Rumble page, the CMS Network Rumble page, excuse me. We are live at those locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. And if you are looking for audio replays of the show, just Google Talking into Infinity podcast, and we are on pretty much any audio platform you can possibly think of. So without further ado, let me bring on my esteemed co-host, he of the incredibly impatient nature and a very rude sense of humor, Mr. Brian Hendrickson. What's going on, man?
Can you take your hat off for those of us that are watching at home?
God damn it, it doesn't look as bad as you think. Okay, I can't help it. Jesus. It is not that bad. It's like in that mid stage, man. What do you want?
Oh, Q. I hope Aiken's watching this. He's got
You
to
know,
chime in.
I keep catching shit from all these people that can't grow hair worth a damn. So that almost barren landscape on top of your head, I don't want to hear it. So
Hey, Perry Van Der Reep brings up a very good point. Nice backdrop, Brian.
Excuse me, it's Van Der Reep. We went over this at the last show.
Okay, hey, whatever you want to do to a van, that's your business. No, so very last. I know this is very unlike you and I to like do something very last minute for the podcast, but I found this. It says wallpaper by Steve 1969 on DeviantArt. I thought it was very cool. So what I want to do after the show, I want to track this person down. I'm assuming it's a he. Steve, could be a she, and I want to let him know that we used this and see maybe we can get him on the show.
Okay.
What the hell? Why not? Obviously, they're a Dream Theater fan, right?
Well, why don't we make sure that they have nice hair first, because we don't want you going and ripping a guest to shreds.
But let me move real quick so you can see this whole thing here. I think the very cool logo,
I don't think you've ever looked better on the show. Why don't you do
that? It just got better looking here.
It did. Oh my God, that's awesome.
No, it is a killer logo,
though.
Cool. Yeah, so I want to find this person, and we will. It says pay him some royalties. Well, I don't know if I can pay him, but I'll definitely. Well, when we finish the show, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I like to get this guy on the show.
Okay.
So Dream Theater news. Did you see Jordan is going into the studio to do his keyboard stuff?
I did see that. They announced a date in Chile, which for me is awesome because it's December 21st. So that means officially we're not getting anything in the US till the new year, which is beautiful. That means I will not have work stuff to deal with. And my dream of having this thing happening in like March is officially still alive. Okay. So I'm currently saving for the trip. It's going to suck going alone. I will say that. Because wherever it is, there's no fucking way that you're going, because your mouth lately has just absolutely been outrageous. So, but sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I'm already saving for the trip. I don't know if we have actually discussed this, but are you going to go to the very first show, no matter where it is, like I am? Are you going to do the plane trip in the hotel room? And I know you're notoriously frugal. You're very responsible with your money. So I don't know if that's something that for you would be like, oh my God, I have to see this like it is for me.
Well, I have to be more notoriously or frugal right now too. So
Still no job, eh?
due to those circumstances, yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it is. I
I
mean,
think
I would love to go there. I don't know how much I'd love to be there with you, but I would love to be at that first show in the U.S.
Well, yeah, I do. So a couple things on that. Um, I basically have already figured that. First of all, I think I know where it's going to be at. Um, and it's not going to be a surprise, but I actually have reasoning behind my thinking. But yeah, so I think I know where it's going to be at, and with the tickets, I had basically already planned to get a pair so that you have it, and then you know how I am when we do road trips. I book everything immediately. Every detail is taken care of, like absolutely the first second that I possibly can. I want no surprises. So I was already planning on getting the hotel room and the tickets, and then basically just be like, all right, well, figure out a way to get there. And if all I had to do is eat one of the tickets, I'm sure somebody would go. So I've already planned on that. And so the location, and again, this is not going to be breaking news. I'm not trying to be like, oh, look how smart I am, but I'm really starting to think it might be at Madison Square Garden. And maybe in the big room, I don't know, but because they started out at the O2 Arena, which is like a 20,000 seater over in Europe, and granted they're going to get bigger crowds there, but I'm wondering if maybe this isn't big enough to where they can actually do that. You know what I mean? So it's a long
Ah,
shot, but I kind of think that the anticipation has ramped up to what the American side of things. People are like, well, we didn't get the start of this whole thing, so now they really want to see it. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. What do you think about that?
would you rather have one show in Madison Square Garden or 3 New York shows at, I don't know, what's the Palladium? Is that even still there? I don't know
Oh,
what's
like
in New
Roseland
York.
Ballroom or even the theater at Madison Square Garden, the smaller room.
I think
Um,
that sounds more realistic to me.
it does. If I had my preference, it would definitely be the big room, because I want to make sure that this is the first one back, because it's happened to me with Anthrax, and it's happened to me with Wolfgang Van Halen, and I'm trying to think who else. Those might be the only two, but anyway, I purposely booked trips to see, like the Wolfgang Van Halen thing. It was supposed to be his first headlining show ever. Like, he had done opening slots, but a couple years ago, his first headlining show ever was supposed to be in Cleveland. I was all excited. Well, then he books another show or two before it. I was like, well, there went that. And then Anthrax was supposed to do their first reunion show back in Chicago at the House of Blues, and they were going to film their Blu-ray there. And then all of a sudden they book another show ahead of it, or is either ahead of it or after it, however it worked out. And I got screwed on that too. So I would want this to be in the biggest room possible, so they can't be like, okay, well, yeah, we're not going to have that be the first show. That way, if I'm spending this money and making all these plans, I'm not getting screwed. So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd think it makes sense to start on the East Coast, go Midwest and West, then come back, and then probably end up and play again in New York, or maybe end up in New Jersey or something at the end. I don't know.
yeah, I just don't see how they don't start in New York. It would be an interesting thing to not make that decision. I mean, it's their biggest market. It's their first U.S. show with Portnoy since 2010. I mean, it just makes too much sense. So, yeah. All right, let's get to some comments here before we jump into this. So, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, Luke Has Spoken is tuning in. Thanks for checking out the show, man. He says, I wasn't here last time, so I have to post the first half of my ranking. Probably going to get killed. The only people that really get killed on this show are me and Brian, so don't feel bad about that, Luke. Doug McCauley asking a hair question. When it gets to your shoulder, will you still wear a hat? No, I'm actually not wearing a hat at work now, dude. Like, it looks goofy, but I'm just tired of wearing a hat. I'm like, it is what it is. Let it grow. Screw it,
I
So,
feel like you almost, with that hat off, you have a bit of the Dante from Clerks going.
dude, it's like I say, it looks silly on camera. I will fully admit that. In person, it's not as bad. It's not great, But you know,
Well, I mean, we know that. Come on, you don't
it's
have to sell me on that aspect.
it's on top of my head. So, Jason Cluse, Circle J, what is up, man? He says, "Yo." He is one of my oldest and dearest friends. Good to see you, brother. All right, Giovanni Pelaya's tuning in. He says, "Let's go." Good to see you, man. Johan Alexanderson, always good to see you too. He says, "I might go. Never been to New York City. It's a cool city to visit, man. I haven't been in several years, but it's a very cool city. I'm actually. It's kind of ironic, like now that I think about it. If they do start in New York, I'm planning a trip to New York City, hopefully next year. So
I have never been to New York City either.
really,
We had a big trip planned, and then I tore up my ankle playing softball. And yeah, we didn't. It was basically we could have gone, and I would have basically been on like either one of those scooter things, with your knee up or crutches. Yeah. And I'm like, and it was going to be like July, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a fun way to tour New York City.
right.
So
yeah,
so Jill got deprived of that trip. So at some point, I would like to go.
yeah, it's fun, dude. Me specifically, I want to go. I want to see the 9/11 museum. I actually was at Ground Zero a year and a half after. It was like March of 2002.
Oh, wow.
Or no, I'm sorry, 2003. And it was extremely powerful. So it was cleaned up and everything, but they still had the wall erected around the outside that had all the pictures and the, like all the, the family things and the hand-drawn art. I've never seen anything that powerful in my life. And so I really want to see. I'm like a big history buff for that event. I was actually watching something about it while I was eating dinner tonight, but yeah, but it's a real interesting city to visit, man. There's so many things to see. It's so effing big that it's, Discuss Metal Joe. Good to see you, brother. He says JT needs pomade advice. I know a guy. I have every hair product known to man upstairs, man. It's crazy. So I'm just tired of putting product in it. I dry it, comb it, and walk out the door. Like, screw it. So all right. So I'm going to recap the first half of my list. So that everybody knows where we stand. Of course, a couple weeks ago, we did numbers 15 through 8. We are going from bottom to top. Number 15 through 8 for me, I had the self-titled record at 15. I had Dramatic Turn of Events at 14. I had Black Clouds and Silver Linings at 13. I had Falling into Infinity at number 12. I had Train of Thought at number 11. I had Systematic Chaos at 10, The Astonishing at 9, and Octavarium at 8.
Okay, for me, I had the debut album, Dream a Day Unite at 15, 14, Train of Thought, 13, Awake, 12 was the self-titled, 11, The Astonishing, 10, Octavarium, 9, Falling into Infinity, and 8, A View from the Top of the World.
See, this is how I know you don't pay a damn bit of attention on the show. I listed Falling into Infinity at number 12, and you didn't even bat an eye. My number 12 is actually A View from the Top of the World. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you did have it lower than I thought, though. It's in your bottom there.
No, it's not in my bottom at all. See, man, this is...
All right, you're throwing me off then.
I love it. You're going to rip on my hair. I'm going to rip on your lack of attention to whatever your co-host is saying.
Silent hair.
Nice. All right. So Circle J wants to know, are you including a change of seasons? We did not. We kind of like threw it in. Like when we're done, we'll say, okay, where would you have put it if we had counted it? So we are going to do that, but we quote unquote officially we did not. So Chastity Crawley, John, when your hair is as long as John Mayung's used to be, then it will be time to cut it. It's not getting that long, Chastity, believe me. But no matter how long it gets, something tells me that Brian will always be there to rip me and build me up, break me down, as it were. So, all right. So let's do this the way that we did it the last time.
Wait, real quick, Kale's list. I was surprised. Wow, we had a lot of the same ones.
Okay, so Kale's from... Now, Kale, so is this 15 through 8 or 8 through 15? believe it's 15 through 8.
Yeah, it's got to be 15 through 8.
So he has a view from the top of the world at 15. When Dreaming Day Unite, 14. 13 is The Astonishing. 12 is Black Clouds. 11 is Train of Thought. 10 is Systematic Chaos. 9 is Octavarium. And 8 is Dream Theater. Luke has spoken, who didn't get to have his 2 cents on the last show. He has at 15, When Dreaming Day Unite. Man, you guys, all the hate for I said it on the last show. All the hate for that record, man. Good Lord.
Something's got to be last.
Ugh. So, all right, so he's got When Dreaming Day Unite at 15. He's got the self-titled record at 14. 13 is The Astonishing. 12 is A View from the Top of the World. It's exactly where I had it. 11 is Black Clouds. 10 is Falling into Infinity. You're officially banned from the show. 9 is Distance Over Time, a double ban from the show. And 8 is Systematic Chaos. Okay. All right, so as we did last time, choose a number from 1 to 100.
105.
That's right. Let's make it easier, you dick. All right, even or odd?
Integers or
dude?
35.
No, even. I said even or odd.
Well,
Good Lord.
that's even, right? 35.
Oh my God.
Odd.
Okay, you got it right. The random number generator said 95. Fucking schmuck. Good Lord. All right, so you will go first. So
okay, so you want me to go first.
At number 7, what do you have?
I have Systematic Chaos. Number 7.
Okay.
You know something I did not realize? How long do you think The Ministry of Lost Souls is as a song? You probably already know this, but take a guess.
Isn't it like 16 minutes or something crazy like that?
It's not even 15. I was shocked.
Really?
Yeah, it's 14:57. Repentance, take a guess.
That one's like 12. That one I'm almost positive,
No, 10:43. Both are shorter. So my point is both are like, I mean, I know it's only a minute and a half, whatever, but that's when you're talking a song that's long, that still makes a difference. So the whole album is almost 79 minutes long. So even when you my point is, you take out those 2 songs, you still got like 52, 53 minutes of just banging music, in my opinion. You know, we've talked. We said before the bookends, In the Presence of Enemies.
Yeah.
Part 1 and Part 2. Constant Motion. A lot of us really dig that song. Dark Eternal Night, of course. Prophets of War, I think, is an okay song. I don't think it's amazing, but my point is that the 2 songs on there that we really are not fans of, but we're still going to get 50, almost 54 minutes of music. Like, that's pretty damn awesome,
Yeah.
For, at the time was, I don't know, what were CDs back then? $9.99 sometimes? I don't know, $10.99.
Yeah.
You could get them. I mean, even Best Buy sometimes $8.99, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's a bargain, man, in my opinion. So I think this fits perfectly. Kind of it's like dead in the middle here. Systematic Chaos.
Yeah, hard to argue. To your point about the length of those 2 songs, we've discussed before that they're very rare, but there are a couple songs in the catalog that feel longer than they are. And I mean, you just backed it up right there. But, I thought they were longer. So
I thought Ministry for sure was like almost 17. So that shocked me. Again, 2 minutes is a really long time.
Yeah. Very much.
I mean,
very much so. I mean, they have songs where, like, the intro takes 2 minutes.
Yep.
So that can feel like an eternity depending on what you're listening to. So I'm totally with you there. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I love that album. So, but there are others that I prefer more, I would say.
Before you do yours real quick, it's interesting. We have 2 Train of Thoughts at number 7 there. Chastity Crowley and Lucas Spoken. That shocks me that's up that high. From 2 people there.
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, Luke says, Train of Thought, just love how heavy it is. Maybe not the most diverse, but it packs quite a punch. Favorite songs are Honor Thy Father and Stream of Consciousness. Okay, see, there's another man. I do not get all the love for Stream of Consciousness. It's good. I mean, I like it, but I like so many of the instrumentals better than that one. It's so weird to me, but I'm obviously pretty much wrong on that. So uh at number 7, I do not have Train of Thought, and I do not have Systematic Chaos, but what I do have is 1989's debut record, When Dream and Day Unite. So it made the top half of my list. I will forever die on the hill that I think this record is underrated. My buddy Circle J up in the comments, he said that it's his number 4 record. Again, we've talked about it many times. I mean, the production obviously gets in the way, but to me, I just think that the songs are interesting. I think it's a fantastic debut. As you said many times, it's a great kind of like view into what the band would become. It's a jumping off point. But that having been said, I think there's some great stuff on there. I love, Fortune and Lies. Who doesn't? Afterlife is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Status Seeker. I don't think there's really, for me, there's not like a down moment on the album. I enjoy it. There's nothing to skip, and I really dig it. When I first heard it, it was a little jarring because obviously, it's not James singing, but I was like, all right, this is cool. And I didn't really hear it until I was already into them for a few records. So I came to it later. So I was already used to what the band would become after When Dream and Day Unite, but it didn't jar me like, oh yeah, this isn't very good. Like, some bands' debut records, you're like, what is this steaming pile of shit? And this is definitely not that. So number 7, I have When Dream and Day Unite. So some other choices up here in the comments. Look at that, another one. Tauber 96. Good to see you, man. He's got Train of Thought. He says it's almost perfect. The sound can be too compressed at times, so it's hard for me to listen on headphones the whole way through. Damn. Johan Alexanderson has Falling into Infinity. He says it grows on you. Murilo Alves, good to see you, man. He says Falling into Infinity. Doug McCauley has A Dramatic Turn of Events at number 7. Perry Vanderape has Black Clouds and Silver Linings as his number 7. Doug McCauley, we're talking Prophets of Voices, Prophets of Bore. That's funny.
I like how Chuck 74 said, no repentance equals an 11-step program. Okay, that's a good line.
That is good. Nice. Oh, that's awesome. All right. So moving on to number 6. Which Dream Theater album do you have at number 6?
Very similar to last album, I've got what we've called the Uneven Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Similar story here. Not quite as long of an album, 75 minutes, right? And we're all sort of, well, no, I shouldn't say, but you and I are sort of best of times. So even if you throw that out of there and you're fine on everything else, I don't know. I can't remember what you said about Rite of Passage. I'm kind of okay on it. But still, if we get rid of those, we've still got over 50 minutes of music again. And I think without question, man, I'd have to go back and listen to some of my classic albums. But I mean, you talk about bookends, Nightmare to Remember and Count of Tuscany. I don't know. I'm not sure how you top that. I'm sure there's probably some obvious ones, maybe from Van Halen or Maiden or something I'm missing. But to me, I'm not seeing it. I mean, I guess you could go Aces High, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. That's not a bad pairing, huh?
Is Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner the last song on the record?
Yes.
Wow, I did not remember that. Okay, that's a good call. Okay.
So I don't, but man, I mean, just those two, and I think they're, I'm sure we would have. Well, I don't know where you'd have them. I'd have those two in my top 10 songs for sure. And the two are on the same album, and they're the opener and the closer. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, all the way down, all the way up at number 6, I guess. So you seem surprised. Did you think I'd have it higher?
I No, I see. It's like because I don't remember right off the top of my head, the top half of your list. It's just, it's to me, it's kind of surprising to have it that high.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that just seems like one of those. I mean, it's a good record, and you're not wrong. I mean, the bookends are absolutely incredible. I mean, even just within their catalog, it's hard to find anything else that might. I mean, you're at that point, you're getting into the realm of like something like Pull Me Under and Learning to Live or something like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, to have it in the top 6, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in the minority maybe to have it quite that high. I don't know. We'll see.
It's an interesting selection. My selection at number 6 is definitely going to be interesting, considering people are going to be surprised, if not a little pissed, that I have 5 albums that I would rather listen to ahead of it. That being 1999's Metropolis 2000 Scenes from a Memory.
Wow.
Yeah, this one actually even surprised me, because I mean, obviously this is we just talked about it a couple episodes ago, that this was rated, by Loudwire or whatever it was, like the greatest prog metal record ever. And Dream Theater fans, it's always a debate, between Images and Words and Scenes as, which one is the record. And I love it. I mean, see, the top half of my list, we start getting into records that I absolutely love, and that like pretty much every song for me is a banger. So it's just a matter of, I go back to the way that I rank these things, and it's, which one would I rather listen to? And the 5 ahead of it, as I was going through, I had it ranked higher, but then I was like, yeah, I kind of would rather listen to this than, Scenes, or I kind of would rather listen to this than Scenes. So, it's, I mean, it's amazing. And it's one of the greatest concept records, Look at Kale. John has officially been banned from the show. If Scenes is out of your top 3, you're out of the band. Nice. Doug McCauley says this topic is the great debate. Love it. Yeah. Chastity Crawley, she says, John, you beat me by 6 spots on Metropolis Part 2. So welcome to the drag club. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. There's nothing to take away from it. It's just, if you're gonna give me, my top 6, I would listen to the other 5 first. But
man,
there's nothing you can take.
I lost the bet on that one big time, man.
Where did you think I was going to have it?
See that coming.
Where did you think I was going to have it?
Well, I would say at least in the top 4.
Okay.
Right. I would say top 3 for sure.
Okay. Well, let's get to some comments here and see what other people have at number 6. I'm definitely getting my ass kicked. Let's see here.
Somebody had the dramatic turn of events. Got to go back.
Yeah. Let me see. So we've got Perry Vanderape has Systematic Chaos at 6. Doug McCauley has Train of Thought at 6. Man, there's a lot of love for Train of Thought. Chastity Crawley, the self-titled record at number 6. Wow. That's crazy.
Was Luke Has Spoken his dramatic turn?
All right. Johan Alexanderson has The Astonishing at number 6. He says, while there is less prog extravaganza, I feel like they really hit home with the melodies, and James is amazing on this album. Yeah, I love The Astonishing. Another hill that I will die on. Mariel Alves says Octavarium. Let's see. Tauber 96 has Distance Over Time. Best Mangini album. Did really grow on me. Good call there. Kale, speaking of being banned from the chat, Falling Into Infinity at number 6. Still the perfect gateway album. I think New Millennium is one of the best openers. Soul Through Lines is one of their best suites. And Trial is a huge closer. Just a few I like more. Giovanni Palaya, another vote for The Astonishing, said it's a freaking masterpiece. I don't care how much hate it seems to get. And like you said, Luke Has Spoken, a dramatic turn of events. Definitely my favorite of the Mangini era. Love the stylistic differences with each song. Could have better production, but doesn't take away from the great songwriting. So speaking of great songwriting, Brian, talk about the great songwriting on your number 5. Dream Theater album, which would be.
Well, this is very funny because I was just going to say this album is 100% all about incredible songwriting, and none of the songs go past the 9 minute and 20 second, and that is 2019's Dramatic Turn of Events.
No, not Dramatic Turn of Events if you're talking that
Oh,
year.
sorry. Distance Over Time.
There you go.
Sorry. Is it 2019? That was the part that was tripping me up on the year.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, this is like prog rock. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word. I want to say organic, but like a very quick and immediate riffs to the point.
Yes.
On this album, I think immediacy. I think is the word I'm looking for here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Untethered Angel, Paralyzed, Fallen. There's no skippers. The only one on here I'm not a huge fan is the so-called limited edition bonus track, Viper King, which I think is okay. I like the riff in it. I think this is the one that doesn't Mangini did let him write lyrics or something for this one or the music or whatever
on Viper King.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, the lyrics are Labrie. I think he wrote the music.
It's about a car.
Yeah,
it's about a car.
But yeah, I mean. That's kind of the only one on here I'm not a huge fan of. But the first 9 songs are only. It seems like I'm focusing a lot on how long these songs are, but it's kind of just sort of to prove a point, especially for this album. 57 minutes, 9 songs. Before you get to the bonus track. And I mean, there's not a song on those first 9 that if they played live, I'd be like bummed out, but I'd be dying to hear anything off of them. I pretty much love them all.
Yeah. No, I mean this is definitely. As we've said before, it's it's basically a comeback record to me. They did a Dramatic Turn, which was pretty well received. They did the self-titled, and the sheen was starting to wear off a little bit, but people liked it. And then the Astonishing was just so polarizing, and so they hadn't yet had that definitive big monster record that people were hoping for with the Mangini lineup. And then they came out with this, and the chart position was the best that they had with Mangini. And outside of it, like I said, for some reason the record's quiet, but other than it being quiet, to me it's got the best production of the Mangini records. And I like that you used the word immediacy, because I think that's a very good description for this record. And I think, as we've discussed before, you can tell that there are a bunch of guys in a room writing live. They were living together at the time at the Yonder Barn, and they're having meals together and everything, and they just really just kind of ate, slept, and breathed this record. And I think it shows in the songwriting. It has the most energy of any of the 5 Mangini albums. And like you said, there's no skippers on here. And me, I mean, I've been on record for a long time saying I actually like Viper King. It's such a weird kind of deep purplish, like awesome kind of like classic rock sounding groove, and I liked it. I thought it was cool. I really enjoy that song. So I have no problem with that, with that record or that selection. The other album that I don't have a problem with is my number 5, which again, I'm not seeing a lot of love for up here at the top, but I'm going to give it some love right now. It was released just a few months after I graduated high school in 1994. It is Dream Theater's second record, if you want to call it that, but it's actually their third. Of course, we are talking about Awake. And again, this is a record that doesn't get as much love as I kind of always thought that it might. And it's, people, generally fans really like it, but I always thought that fans would get into it more than they do. I think this one has some amazing stuff on it. I think 6 a.m. is just a kick-ass opener, because it's not really what you were kind of thinking you would get, I think, coming off of Images and Words. So it's kind of a left turn, which I like. And then you go into something heavy, right off the rip, going into the second track with Caught in a Web, and I think this is a much darker record than Images was. But there's a lot of really cool atmospheric stuff going on. You've got Voices and, Scarred and Lifting Shadows Off a Dream. And then you've got your really heavy moments with The Mirror and Lie. And as much as you absolutely detest this one, of course, I love Space Divest. So I just find that song to be so unique and weird, but in a good way, that it just makes it a really, really enjoyable listen for me. So I really dig it. I go back to this record a lot. So again, might get crushed for liking this one a little bit more than Scenes from a Memory, but you know, opinions are like Brian, meaning assholes. Everybody has one. So all right, so in the chat, let's see what these number 5s are at. So Perry Vanderape has Octavarium. Tauber 96. Finally, some love, man. When Dream and Day unite, it's just great. And I can forgive them for any weaknesses because it's their first. Status Seeker, Afterlife, Killing Hand. Love them all. Doug McCauley has Falling into Infinity. Another high vote for Train of Thought here. Murilo Alves has Train of Thought as his number 5. By the way, Luke has spoken. Thank you for the correction. Luke has spoken is saying that Mangini wrote the lyrics for Room 137. It's Room 237, isn't it? Do we have to correct his correction?
No, I think it's 137.
Okay. Whatever it is. So he wrote that one. Boy, we're doing a bang up job.
237 is the Shining Room, isn't it?
That's why I always think of that. Yeah. Johan Alexanderson's right on board with me. He's got Awake. K.O. McLeish has A Dramatic Turn of Events. Images and Words Part 2. Really only Bridges and Surface that break the mold from what came before. But regardless, this is a great album. Breaking All Illusions. Fuck the world.
I think that's for the win.
Not on this show, it's not, man.
Okay.
So Circle J at number 5 has Octavarium. He must have to leave because he just gave his top 6. 6 is Falling into Infinity. 5 is Octavarium. 4 is When Dream and Day Unite. 3 is 6 Degrees. 2 is Images and Words. And 1 is Awake. Wow. A vote for... he and I hung out and listened to this crap for years, and I never knew that Awake was his favorite or that he had When Dream and Day Unite in his top 4. That's crazy. Luke has spoken. Is also on the same page with me. Awake. Love how heavy yet atmospheric it is. That's my take exactly. He said, it seems like a natural evolution from Images and Words. The Mind Beside Itself suite is incredible. The Mirror and Lie is great. And I love Space Divest. See, this guy is like, dude, it's like my new best friend.
Dude, we're up to like 3 different numbers for that.
Right.
137, 213, 327. 213 is Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes. That's a Slayer tune.
Yep.
Let's just call it by a different number every time it's mentioned on the show.
2112.
Dude, that man, Room 452 just always is. It just hits me the right way. Chastity Crawley at number 5 has Falling into Infinity. It's my top 5. I can't think of much that I don't like about it. A few I like better, but it's good. And Giovanni Palaya says, Falling into Infinity. I was one of the lucky few to catch the Fix for 96 shows that showcased some of these songs live before the album was released. I am very jealous. Our buddy Sean Faust, who I haven't talked to in a while, actually, he was there too, and I'm very jealous of that. So,
Kale says 5150, the country song by Dierks Bentley.
Shut up, man.
Have you heard that? I always crack up when I hear that song because I'm like, well, first time I heard this, it was called 5150. It was Van Halen. But he calls it 5150.
So you're going to be surprised by this, but Circle J, when I said, how did we not know this about what we're listening to back in the day? He says, we were drunk as hell, dude. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah, he was one of the first people like really soup up his car with like technology. He had a full laptop running his damn car stereo. It had like a police car would have like a little computer stand. And we were driving around one time and he had like this just ungodly loud system. And we were just rocking shit. And it was probably a little bit of an irresponsible drive, but it was what it was. And all of a sudden the whole thing takes a shit. The whole system goes down. And I was like, God damn it. In fact, I know what we were listening to at the time. We were in the middle of a Dokken record or something. And I just remember screaming at him, God damn it, Jay. We'd still be rocking with Dokken if you hadn't had a goddamn computer running your car. So nice. That was the kind of dumb shit that we did. But in any case, let's move on. We are now officially in the top 4. So what do you have at number 4?
Well, number 4, I have Scenes from a Memory. Are you shocked?
Um, I can't say shocked, but I'm a little surprised. I did think that was going to be in your top 3.
Yeah.
I did think that was going to be in your top
Well,
3.
you know what's in my top 3 now, I guess. Yeah, another one when this first came out, I liked it. But never really deep dove into it all that much until kind of almost till after we got the show going again. And I'm like, oh wow, there's stuff on here that I don't know if I missed it or I just didn't know it was there. Or and then when we got to see it performed live in its entirety, just absolutely amazing. I mean, no skippers in the entire thing. Something like the Dance of Eternity being in there is just makes it that much more epic, I guess. Kind of sandwiched in between all this stuff that these other killer songs that are going on. You have this really cool instrumental. The 1928's in there too, of course. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what else we can say about we've talked about this album probably ad nauseum. A Spirit Carries On, of course. I mean, how much of this do you think we're going to get? Not much because they seems like they were playing a lot of it with Mangini and they played the whole thing. Or think it might be light on this one.
Yeah, I've really envisioned the set list that they're going to do very wide ranging, like covering a lot of records. So I could easily see like hitting like 12 different records, but doing like 2 from some and 1 from another, like just really, touching on a lot of stuff. So
Right.
I mean, I could see them doing it. I think because they have done a lot of it recently, they might pull out one of the more obscure tunes off of it, not your like Dance of Eternity or, Overture 1928 or Strange Deja Vu or something, but something kind of a little more off the beaten path. I could see that.
Yeah.
Kale McLeish, Brian has just been banned from the show. If Scenes is out of your top 3, you're out of the band. And Doug McCauley says, both hosts out of the band? Jeez.
Well,
it's a tough room, Doug. It's a tough room.
We know one of my top 3 I'm going to get absolutely crucified on. So we've all been waiting for that moment.
Right.
But, going back to Dance of Eternity. So did you watch at all the Portnoy video of him trying to play the Tool song? Numa.
No,
dude, you got to watch it though. It's hilarious the way he talks about it. So at the very, I think it's at the beginning or the very end, he says, "All right, now I want to get Danny Carey on here, and I want to see him try to play Dance of Eternity." I mean, because watching Portnoy struggle to figure out this time signature, it takes him like 4 hours to figure out what the time signature even is, because it just keeps changing over and over. And they even had him watching like the YouTube video where he's playing it live, which they never have those guys do. Most of the time they just kind of listen and play it, but he's like, dude, I got to watch the video. I can't get this. So I'm hoping that they do that. That would be sweet if he comes on and accepts that challenge.
That would be crazy. That would be Danny Carey playing Dream Theater. Like I do not like Tool at all. I don't get it. I don't understand why they're as big as they are. But I won't deny Danny Carey's talent. So that would be definitely something interesting to see.
It's hilarious because the whole time he's like, "You motherfucker! Why did you write this? Why did you write this? Who could possibly play this and learn this song?"
This coming from him. This coming from him. He's got like the Dance of Eternity and stuff like that. Yeah.
I know. He just keeps going off it. And oh yeah, that's right. They ended up giving him some of the sheet music too. Also,
yeah,
because he's like, it was so rough for him trying to do it.
Thank you, Perry. So what's rough is that I'm now also into my top 4. Terrible segue, but what the hell? And I've got a lot of people agreeing with my number 4 in the chat right now. So yeah. I have 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence at number 4. I just think this is an absolutely kick-ass record. I think it's an amazing follow-up to Scenes from a Memory, because I think there could be a tendency once you come off an album that big, you might, kind of fall into a rut of trying too hard to outdo yourself or do something on par with what you previously did. And I don't think that happened on this for them. And I thought it was extremely ballsy to have basically a mini concept album, you know, as the second side of the record after coming off of a concept record. So, yeah, this is just, for me, it's killer. I mean, I've waxed poetic how many times about the Glass Prison. I know you and I are massive fans of The Great Debate, which another interesting song. You know, you don't really hear a lot of people talk about it, but when it comes up, like I know you like on the show, people are like, "Oh yeah, great debate, great debate." But if you're out talking to Dream Theater fans, it's not one that generally comes up. But if it gets brought up to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, the Great Debate." So it doesn't seem to be like at the forefront of people's minds, which I think is kind of cool. You know, I think I always kind of prefer songs like that where you love them, but then you kind of forget. You're like, oh shit, yeah, that song does rule. So it keeps it fresh for you. You know what I mean? It's not like listening to the hits constantly. So
Doug, my
I
colleague
dig
suggests you take the GL out of the Glass Prison.
yes, prison.
Dude, I cannot believe you have this low on your list. I am
Really
stunned. Yeah, I thought this was a top 2 for sure.
No kidding. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm floored.
Well, it is kind of weird to see where these are at though, because and I think a lot of people probably surprise themselves though, because there's so many things that stand out, but when you take an album as a whole, it kind of changes the way you look at it, because you can look at stuff like, like, I mean, let's say, like, I mean, you made a perfect point. Black Clouds, the bookends, Nightmare to Remember and Count of Tuscany. They're absolutely fantastic. So you would think, oh, I'm going to have that album rated so high, but then all of a sudden you don't when you look at the album as a whole piece. So it's kind of cool to look at it that way. So, man, train of thought. Here we go. Look at this. Chastity Crawley at number 4 has A View from the Top of the World. Wow. Perry Vanderape has Train of Thought. Just love everything about it. Killer riffs, great songs, no letdowns for me. Cale McLeish also has 6 Degrees. He says that album absolutely just slaps. Might only be 6 songs on the entire thing, but all of them are so good. Yes, even Disappear. Bigger fan of the first disc than the second, though. All right. Giovanni Palaia, another vote for 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. He says, "Hey, Giovanni's on my side." That's right. That's why I was mentioning Cale, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of love for this in there. Let's see. Luke Has Spoken has Octavarium. The fact that the whole album's based around music theory is so cool to me. The title track is an absolute masterpiece. Love Panic Attack, These Walls, but the whole album is fantastic. All right. So real quick, for all you guys who are kind of new to the show, here we go. Look at this guy showing up out of nowhere, dropping a bomb and probably leaving. Adam Rishaw, great to see you, man. He has his number 4. Get ready to catch hell. His number 4 is Images and Words.
Yeah, but that's you got to. There's the exchange rate because he's Canadian, so that's actually our number 2.
Yeah, it's exactly. Nice. So yeah, for those of you guys who are kind of new to the show, if you want to get our opinions on all of these records, we have done a deep dive on every Dream Theater studio record so far, except for The Astonishing. So we have yet to do that one. But if you would like to hear our thoughts in a full episodic format, you can go back in our back catalog, either on YouTube or just look up Talking Into Infinity podcast if you want to hear the audio version and listen to that. We've got the other 14 studio records out there outside of The Astonishing, so you can hear our thoughts on every single one of these records. So, all righty, Brian, we have made it to the top 3. So we don't have a drum roll, but we'll just imagine a drum roll. What do you have at number 3?
I have 2011's Dramatic Turn of Events. Let the crucifixion begin.
Wow, I would have thought that would have been top 2.
No, I went with my gut and a little bit of what's left of my mind and my heart, and yeah, there's only one on this that I'm not super a fan of. Far From Heaven, I think, is kind of okay, but it's only 4-minute songs, so I don't know. There's something about this album, and I told the story before when I had been working at Member Health for a while. Let's see, I'd been there, geez, 4 or 5 years, I guess, at the time, and I got to a point where I started listening to a lot of albums, during whatever project I was doing, and when this came out, I was skeptical, and then I just kept listening to this over and over and over again, and I don't know, I loved it. I think the songwriting is great. I think all of the choruses are strong. Like Lost Not Forgotten, I love the chorus on that song. This Is the Life has an awesome Pink Floyd feel to it. Bridges in the Sky, I love that freaky keyboard, the angels coming down from heaven thing, Brutus has going on there. It sounds like it's out of Raiders of the Lost Ark or something.
Nice.
We Breaking All Illusions. Maybe at this point I'll just maybe say it's my favorite Dream Theater song of all time. I don't know. Maybe it's top 2 at least. That's on there. Beneath the Surface, I always thought it was a really cool, just stripped down acoustic thing, and I love the Moog cube synth solo. Rudis does on it. I think it's a nice ending to the album too. I don't know. I think it's a beautiful vocal line that James sings on that song, and I don't know. This album's always just going to have a special place for me, and I don't buy any of the arguments about because Mangini didn't help write it or whatever. I don't care. I just think it's a great album.
Okay, I gotta get one comment up before. I don't know what this is in relation to, but Doug McCauley says Van to Rape gets me. Oh my God. I love our chat, man. I love it. It's so much fun. Yeah. So I think I can confidently say that we don't have anything further apart than we do with this, because I had it at 14 and you've got it at 3. So
yeah, that's almost 15 apart.
That's crazy. I mean, wow. Yeah. I mean, dude, I love that you love it. I just cannot get into this one. I mean, it just never grabbed me. I think I was hoping for something a little more powerful out of the gate, maybe. But yeah, it just hasn't grabbed me.
This is weird because you love Breaking All Illusions.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some great stuff on there, but again, I think I mentioned this on the last show. A lot of it, most of it, just kind of blends together for me. If you were to put on like Outcry or Bridges in the Sky or stuff like that and say, okay, what song is this? I'd be like, have to wait till the chorus.
Right.
So, yeah. Doug McCauley, John and Brian are so close to a divorce right now. Nice. Yeah, dude, I love that you love it. I am not on board. I feel like my number 3 is better than your number 3. I'm just gonna, if we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. But you did have this one in your top half. So right now, and this might be a shock to some people, but I kind of hinted at this over the time we've done the show, as this album has grown on me more and more. I have at number 3, 2017's Distance Over Time. That is a record that just, our good friend Wayne Joyner, who, by the way, sending out massive good vibes to that guy, because I did not know this. He had open heart surgery recently.
Holy crap.
And he's recovering fine, but he finally just released his first bit of work since, he had the surgery. He did an awesome video for Tara Mays. But yeah, he mentioned online that he had open heart surgery. I had no idea. So much love to him, man. So glad to hear that he's doing well. But
awfully young to have that shit going on.
Yeah. But when we talked to him about A View from the Top of the World, he described that one as a grower. And he said, the more I listen to it, the more, I like it. And I think that term describes Distance Over Time for me, because it just gets better and better. As I said, when you brought this one up earlier in the show, it's a very immediate listen. There's an immediacy to the songwriting. I feel, and I've said this before, I feel like what they were trying to accomplish with the self-titled record, they actually nailed on this one. They were saying that they wanted to take their long form songwriting with the self-titled record. They wanted to take their long form songwriting and see if they could condense it into much shorter pieces. And I don't think it worked very well on the self-titled, but I think it works great here. So I mean, like as you said, there's not a skipper. I mean, I know you don't like Viper King. I do. I just think that this is awesome. I've talked about Out of Reach a lot. Obviously, Barstool Warrior, you can never go wrong with. Room 618 is just a great song. um, yeah, I love it, dude. I love this record, and again, I'm kind of surprised when I see this one ranked so low by a lot of fans, and also on that list of when we did that Loudwire list with Heard. I was really surprised that this was ranked so low in terms of where the Dream Theater albums were ranked, because I think this record is just very well written, and it's a great listen. And it like you said, no song is over 9 minutes and 20 seconds, so you don't get that extreme, 15 to 20 minute prog blast that you get on a lot of other records. So I love it, man. I think it's cool. So Perry Vandrape, Room 25 or 6 to 4. Adam Rishog, he says, couldn't agree anymore with everything you said, John. It's also his number 3. Let's see what else we have here at number 3. Let's scroll up here. Tauber 96 has Images and Words, perfect songs from start to finish, never gets old. Perry Vanderabe has his number 3 is Awake. Chastity Crawley, we're on the same page. Distance Over Time at number 3 for her. Murilo Alves says his number 3 is Images and Words. Johan Alexanderson, an interesting choice. He has Systematic Chaos. He says, first one I ever heard, and that tour was my first show, so it's very special to me. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see. Giovanni Palaya. He's got Metropolis Part 2. What more could be said that hasn't already? All right. Well, all right. We are into our top 2 Dream Theater records. So what do you have at number 2?
I changed my mind on Dreamin' Day and Night. It's now number 2.
Nice.
No, probably no album has garnered more of a greater appreciation. I'm just trying to think of any bands or albums I've listened to in general than 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. From what I originally kind of gave it, which wasn't a lot of time, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I love this album. I think there are serious arguments, and I was extremely close to putting this number 1, and I don't think anybody could remotely.
Whoa!
I don't think anyone could really. You could have a debate, but it wouldn't. Nobody would win that debate because it's such a coin flip that you could conceivably see it at number 1.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just because of things like Great Debate and The Glass Prison, but when you put those two and then you have the entire 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, the 8-step suite, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a musical masterpiece. Like, so it's crazy. I was this close to when we first started talking about doing this. I was like, I'm wondering if I'm going to end up putting 6 Degrees at number 1. I just think it's such a musically ambitious, fresh, even like the 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Everything kind of builds and everything sounds a little bit different. There's so many musical styles in there. We've talked before when we did the review, how all these songs just have their own unique spin, but they still fit together in this cohesively in this story that they're telling. And then, you kick it off with Glass Prison, and a Disappear, I think, is probably one of those, someone else said maybe kind of a weak point. Everything else on here, I Misunderstood, I think I probably like that song more than I realized originally. Blind Faith, I think, is a great song. I don't know. It's just very hard for me to not see multiple people putting this number 1. I just think musically everyone is playing at the top of their game, and I don't know how they could ever top this in terms of musicality. Let's put it that way.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can't argue with you, man. I mean that's why it's my number 4. I would say I like Disappear. I don't really consider it a weak point. I think it's, I like it. I think it's, again, it's a wonky song, but it's cool. So I like it. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I just talked about it. It's your number 2. But yeah, it's just such a powerful record all the way throughout. And I think it provides a really, really interesting listening experience because you've got, the first side is 5 songs, and it's, you've got some of these really heavy proggy moments, like, and then some really weird stuff. So it's kind of all over the map in and of itself. And then the back half again is a mini concept record. So I mean, it's kind of, like I've talked about with the Astonishing, it's kind of like the most Dream Theater thing that Dream Theater could do in a way.
Yep.
So I love that, and you cannot go wrong with this record. And this was this record kind of holds a special place for me also because it's the first tour of theirs that I saw out of town. It actually was the first time I'd ever been to Chicago. So I have such great memories of that particular tour. So I loved the record when it came out, and then I got to see, out of town shows and whatnot. And I mean, I was like seconds away from getting to see them do Master of Puppets on that tour because Chicago was one of the nights that they were doing the back to back. And one night, the second set was going to be like doing a classic album, and they had announced it was going to be Master of Puppets. And I barely missed getting tickets for that one. So I almost got to see them doing Master of Puppets in its entirety, which would have been awesome. But yeah, so all right, so at number 2, I myself have what is probably most people's number 1, but you can never go wrong, despite what Adam Rishog says about Pull Me Under. You can never go wrong with Images and Words. It's, even though it's not their first record, technically, it is the record that started it all. It got the ball rolling in magnificent fashion. This record just has an awesome energy to it, an awesome aura to it. It's I've said, I've mentioned this before when we're talking about the Kevin Moore era. It has a certain melodic quality to it that always seems like more major key. Like it's more upbeat sounding, the first 3 records. And I think this is, it's very apparent on this album that they had a lot of time to polish the music that they were working on because it's so well done. I think, they haven't had an album this solid, I would say, since then, but they also haven't had a record since then where they had a year and a half to 2 years to just sit there with the music and stew on it. Because obviously we know they were looking for a singer at the time. They were going through that whole debacle and dealing with the ups and downs of that. And that's always another thing that's fascinating to me about the album is that, it's kind of a down period in a way because they couldn't find a singer they liked. And yet there's nothing like overly melancholy or overly dark or anything in the songwriting. It's, it's upbeat. It's, it moves, it drives, and the ballads are just beautiful. And man, oh man. So yeah, this record is just, it's fantastic. And every time I hear it, I'm brought back to, like I told the story on the show about, when I was visiting my buddy at college and basically kind of rediscovered or discovered Dream Theater, whichever way you want to look at it. And I just that's such a fun memory for me in 95 of being like, oh my God, I was looking for this band, and not only did I find them, but I absolutely love them. And it's just, it's all the great vibes come back whenever I listen to this. And so, I mean, what more can you say, man? I mean, it's pretty much, the quintessential Dream Theater record. So at number 2, I've got Images and Words. So before we get to your number 1, which is no surprise,
Right.
let's get to what the chat has at number 2. So we have, let's see here. At number 2, Perry Vanderape. He has got Metropolis, as does Johan Alexanderson. Murilo Alves has 6 Degrees at number 2, so he agrees with you.
Nice.
Doug McCauley is on Team John. He's got Images and Words. Ali's Studios, number 2, is Train of Thought. Man, oh man.
Wow.
That is crazy. Okay. Zauber 96 at number 2 has Octavarium. The concept is great, and I'm so amazed that they have done it. It really had to grow on me, but now I love every song and the whole album from start to finish. Look at that. Giovanni Palaia, he also has Images and Words at number 2. A genre-defining classic. Dream Theater should be in halls of that building in Cleveland on the merits of this album alone. It would make it a better place, I will tell you that. I'm not the biggest Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan. Cale McLeish at number 2 has Scenes from a Memory. You're along for the ride with the convoluted plot and then stay because the awesome tunes keep sucking you back in. It's fantastic. I just slightly prefer ... Alrighty, so number 1, not that it is any surprise, but what do you have at number 1? I do believe we just talked about it.
Yeah, Change of Seasons. I've got it number 1.
Nice.
No,
Tenement Funster, the single release.
Yeah. No, I've got Images and Words, and we'll rehash this story once again, because that's what we do on the show, right? My roommate worked at Scene magazine at the time. He had a bunch of CDs he brought home, one of which was the promotional copy of Images and Words and Dream Theater. So I remember that band because I had the CD before that. I was like, and I got rid of it. Threw this on. I'm like, what? Wait, what is this? And got through the first song, was absolutely amazed. Got the second song. I was like, oh, this is crazy. There's like saxophone or whatever coming in here. And they got the third song, Surrounded. Like, oh my God, this is like right up my alley. Yeah, and it just kept going on, and like you said, Kevin Moore's playing. It's so melodic. It's still, I think it's the only album really where the keyboards, a lot of time will. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. We'll pick up the melodic slack sometimes. Sometimes they just go ahead and take on the melody parts, and it's and I love the stuff he does. There's no crazy sounds or anything. They're just your kind of standard stock lead, synth sounds and strings and piano and whatnot. But I mean, his choices are just perfect. Everything he plays just fits to a T with Petrucci, and this creates this canvas, musical canvas tapestry. It's just like you said, it's very spiritually, it's very uplifting. It's not a downer album at all. There's some minor key stuff, but for the most of the part, there's a lot of major things in there. And I don't know, it's one of those albums you put it on. I mean, how do you ever just stop it in the middle? It's got to play till the end, right? I mean,
exactly.
Everyone jokes about Pull Me Under, but I still put it on, and I'm still rocking out to Pull Me Under. I understand if you think maybe it's a little played out live, but I don't know. It's kind of a must for me. I've got to listen to it. It's not like on Hysteria, Def Leppard. Like, okay, there's no way I can listen to Pour Some Sugar on Me. I've got to skip that. I've got to skip Love Bites.
Oh, I skipped Love Bites back then.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, just get me to Gods of War. But
yes, exactly. Yeah.
But on this album, I mean, just a timeless classic, and I guess it's super easy to put it number 1. But like I said, I did have I had a fight within me on whether or not to put 6 Degrees there. Oh, no, and one other thing too, as I said before, I've got to see them live at Flash Gordon's, west side of Cleveland, and basically played from as far as I know, almost the entire album. In addition to probably a couple from the first album, but I mean, just a great show.
Man, I see. That's what sucks. I'm very jealous that people that got to see that, because I wasn't allowed to go to concerts until I was 18. My dad was a real stickler about that rule, and so of course he let me take my younger brother to Van Halen when he was only 16. So that was good. But had I been able to go to shows, my first show would have been actually on the Awake tour because I turned 18 in '94, and I'm like, damn it, the stuff that I missed. It's like, ugh. So I'm very jealous, especially at like a venue the size of Flash Gordon's. That had to be just, especially looking at where they are now, like being able to.
It was pretty well packed in there, but I mean, I was 15 feet from the stage, and I mean, they sound just like the album. I mean, there was no distinguishing. I mean, they were dead on.
That's amazing. Dude, like I say, there's what can you say about it? It's there's a lot of great comments about it here in the in the chat. It's Chuck 74 says this may be a hot take for many, but Images and Words is one of the most influential albums of all time. Definitely in the top 5 of the 90s most influential. Super influential, yes. Obviously, it's basically like, in a way, like the birth of true prog metal. So that's definitely, I would agree with that. Top 5, I don't know. I think there's other stuff you would have to put up, above it. I think if you really dig into that particular comment, but all right, well, let's get to the worst kept secret of last show and this show. Moving on to my number one. If you've listened to this show at all, you've probably heard me mention this at some point, but an album that almost nobody has as their number one. I have 1997's Falling Into Infinity. Kale McLeish, say it with him now. And by the way, Kale, I did not even I didn't even realize that I actually used it as my background tonight. But Chris Aiken, John, do you know 5 albums from the 90s? Yes, I do. Images and Words, Awake, Falling Into Infinity, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, Balance, Chastity. The chat collectively gasps. This record, I've said it many times. What I love about it is that it's Dream Theater, but they're a little bit loose, and I don't mean sloppy loose. I mean there's a little bit of a jam-ish kind of feel to this that I just absolutely love. As everybody knows, my favorite band is Van Halen. My number 2 is very close number 2, but it's Dream Theater. And I think if you threw a little bit of Van Halen into Dream Theater, I kind of think that Falling Into Infinity is what will come out. You get a little bit of that teeny bit more spontaneity or spontaneous kind of vibe, even though it was meticulously written. As we know, they were going for radio singles at the time. They were under incredible pressure from the label. But I love how the songs flow. It's not, I don't know how to phrase it. Like, it's just not as, when I say this, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's not as pretentious. You're listening to some of the best musicians in the world, but they feel a little more tangible. Like, oh, look, we can play some, some cool, more like accessible stuff like you guys can, like, because you're not as good as us. Like, and again, I do not mean that in a disparaging way in any way. I think it's awesome. I think they did a fantastic job on it. Johan Alexanderson, he hits it right on the head, man. He says, Derek Sherinian channels the classic rock vibe. Yeah, I love Derek Sherinian's style. I think it was such a kick-ass addition to the Dream Theater sound, and I think it made a huge difference. And it's kind of a bummer that we didn't get to hear more of it, but it's also why it's good that we have Sons of Apollo, because at least we get to kind of get close to it. So I mean, his playing is definitely one of the reasons. I know what you're laughing at. I'm not putting that dickhead's comment on the screen.
So somebody named Chris Akin says Dream Halen and Falling Into Carnal Knowledge.
Dude, it's all right. He likes Kid Rock. I don't need to hear from him. I don't need to hear from him.
I don't even know who that is, Chris Akin. Anyway,
but yeah, something about this record has always grabbed me, and it's just stuck with me, and it's got my favorite Dream Theater song ever on it, that being Trial of Tears. And there's not a skip on here for me. I love everything that they did. It's got my favorite instrumental, Hell's Kitchen, and I think it's fantastic, and I think it's very underrated. But at the same time, I also understand why Dream Theater fans might have it ranked very low, because it's uh, Giovanni Palaia says it's a friendly Dream Theater, and Zabro 96 says, I mean, I can't put it as the best album if it's against what the band stands for, in my opinion. And he also says it's the least prog Dream Theater has ever been. And yeah, it's
Well, there's two killer uplifting ballads, the major key on here that I absolutely love James' voice on. Hollow Years and Take Away My Pain. Take Away My Pain, and it's just Take Away My Pain is just a brilliantly written. It almost sounds like it could be a Toto song or something. I don't know. There's a pop prog element to that song, but the chorus is just amazing. I just love that this little descending guitar riff thing. Like there's nothing crazy, insanely difficult about the progression, but I don't know. There's something about that song that, and it's like you said, it's a very eclectic mix of songs on this album.
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it. And then you get something like Anna Lee, which is this like plaintive piano type thing, and it's like, what the hell? So, man, it's just great. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And I know kind of like ending these two episodes on you having Images and Words at number 1 and me having Falling Into Infinity at number 1
Big
is
shocker.
yeah, very anticlimactic, but and we definitely had some crazy stuff in the middle there. I was very surprised at some of yours, man. I didn't think you'd have Black Clouds in the top half. I like I say, I surprised myself having Scenes from a Memory at number 6. I really thought that would have been a little bit higher for me. Honestly, I thought The Astonishing might be a little higher for me as well, but it was not. So,
Chris Akin prefers Mole Muzzler.
Aiken. All these Dream Theater albums fail compared to Mole Muzzler.
Oh, is it Aiken? Okay, I've been saying it wrong all these times.
I actually have some of my friends. They've called him Akin. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, man. Aaron Taft, he says, "Take Away My Pain is similar to Follow You, Follow Me by Genesis. Both great songs." Agree there?
I can actually see that on the verse. That's very, very astute, Mr. Taft.
Cale McLeish. Chris Aiken is banned from the chat. Man, oh man. Yeah, I just, dude. And so I'll ask one more time. How difficult was this for you to do, to rank the records? And after we had done the first episode, did you look back at yours and go, boy, I wish I would have kind of reevaluated a few of these?
I could flip flop a few, but they wouldn't really be moving a whole lot of spots. I think I'm pretty firm. Even as crazy as many people had Train of Thought down there. Well, where you ended up having in your bottom half too, right?
Yeah, I had Train of Thought
like 9 or something.
11.
Okay, which that surprised me a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Train of Thought and Dream Day, those were never going to move up much. I mean, the toughest was those middles. Like I said before, at the end of the first one, View from the Top of the World, I think was my absolutely hardest one to rank, because I just still on the fence on that album on how much do I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth, and so it's sat right in the middle, which I guess means that doesn't mean it's mediocre. It just means that's where it ended up.
Right. Yeah, I went back and looked at mine, and I was like, you know what? I'm fine with it. I kind of looked to see if I would re-rank it, and I wouldn't. I'm comfortable with where everything's at. Before we jump out of here, and I'm getting told again that we have to make a Discord. I think I did it, so I will have to open that up as soon as we get off. I think.
Nice.
I think. It'll probably like break my damn computer to, to bring it up here while we're talking. But anyway, so the question that we were asked before we even started this whole concept was about a change of seasons. So where would you put a change of seasons?
Well, it's only got one song. So I don't know. I probably have to put it last just because there's only one song on there. I mean, you can't count the cover songs.
Okay. So if you had to place it somewhere, where would you have it?
I guess I'd put it maybe I'd put Dreamin' Day last and then no, I'd put it last. I put it, what would that be, 16?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd put it at 16 only because of the fact it's just one song. Because you can't be like, well, I'd go back and listen to that album. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Does anyone go back and listen to the covers on there? No.
Interesting.
I don't think, right? Let's say, I'll say the majority doesn't, and some of that majority, if they are saying they do, I'm not believing them.
I actually would have it. I would keep my bottom two as the bottom two, and I would have a change of seasons after that.
Wow.
Yep. Sorry to Mangini era fans, but I would still have Dream Theater. I would have it at 16. I would have a Dramatic Turn at 15, and I would have Change of Seasons at 14. No offense, Brian. No offense.
No, that makes sense. I could see you doing that. Yeah.
I just think a Change of Seasons is so strong that it's very difficult to deny for me. So and as for the covers, like I actually do listen to those.
Stop.
I do. I mean, they're interesting. They're fun. It's like kind of cool to hear some live stuff, some live covers. So it's, I think it's interesting. I love the story behind it being the Ronnie Scott's show. And, they talk about it in the Lifting Shadows book and explain the story behind that, like how they pissed off the club because they're like, oh, get out of here. Apparently there's some jazz going to be happening because they were getting booted off the stage. So, yeah, it's interesting for me. It's very interesting. And I dig it. I dig it. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it for another episode. I apparently have to figure out how to do a Discord link. I have invite your friends, personalize your server with an icon, which I did. Send your first message, add your first app. Let's see. So I basically have to figure this out. So if anybody knows how to do that, let me know. And we should just give out the login, not like anybody's going to abuse it. But yeah, we'll have to jump in there. I can actually do that while I'm doing show production. So yeah, look at this asshole Brian Ader 1968 riveting podcasting here. See,
wow.
Watch this.
Only an idiot would send something like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is it? Ban user and delete their comments. Well, there we go. We finally actually banned someone from the chat. Whoever Brian Ader 1968 is, F that guy.
Yeah, I'd get rid of him too.
All right, so guys, I appreciate it. So Kale says he can help. So I'm going to send. So all right, real quick before we go, so that everybody who's watching this live. So Kale, is it something I can do now that you can do for me while we're still on the air, so we can tell people about it? I will send you the login. Obviously, Kale, I think he knows, but yeah, let's get that Discord going because we are getting asked about it. So we are definitely going to do that. So that will be live here in a minute. I will give Kale the information. And for all those of you guys who are listening to the audio version of the show, we are going to start doing this after the live versions of the show. So, and people might jump in whenever they feel like it. So we are going to start doing this Discord thing. So that'll be kind of fun because people want to keep the chat going. And yeah, Brian, this was awesome. We are going to be right back here in 2 weeks. It will be Thursday, June 13th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I got a couple ideas of stuff I'd like to talk about, so I'll have to run them by you. But we definitely got a lot of things coming up this year that have been very interesting. We're still waiting for some tour information for the U.S. leg of the tour, which I would actually think something would be coming sooner rather than later. And I'm wondering if they're not waiting to announce the U.S. tour with like album information. So maybe,
Well, they're still farther behind on this album than I thought they'd be. For some reason, I thought it'd be done by now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I know they had other commitments and stuff, but I kind of thought that they would already be done recording it by now. So I don't know about this, and I mean, are they going to have to rush the actual production of this thing? Because, they're going on tour in October or something like that. So, I mean, it's usually they would be done recording by now and working on the post-production and getting all the stuff together for the artwork and all that. But so, I mean, are they going to have the record out by the time they start touring? That would be pretty interesting. So
Luke has spoken, said they want everyone to put their number ones out. Did anyone put their number ones out there?
He's Luke. We need our number ones read.
We
now,
read
Luke,
your
come
whole
on now.
list earlier, dude, didn't we?
Yeah, we did that. Listen to my voice. Yeah, I'm going to sound great doing 2 shows this weekend. Yeah. Well, we did read a bunch of number ones, Luke, but or did we?
I don't know. I don't think we did.
Oh well, we're trying to get this. Yeah, we had a lot of images and words, a lot of 6 degrees, and a lot of awake. I will say that. So, Kale, you've got the login. So, if you can do that for our Discord and send that out to people, I'm currently sitting there. So, we can do that. So, yeah, guys. Anyways, it will be Thursday, June 13th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, topic to be determined, but we will announce that well ahead of time as we try to do. Brian, this was fun. As always, great idea. I know you were the one that came up with the show idea. You also came up with an idea to rank all the albums, so appreciate that. And guys, I'm going to keep the chat open once we go off air so that if Kale needs to post something about the Discord thing, he can. Otherwise, I guess I don't know how this works, but I don't know if you can go to Discord and search Talking Into Infinity. If you can do that, and I'll figure it out eventually. But there will be a Discord after this. So, guys, once again, appreciate you guys for jumping into the chat. All you amazing people, Mariel Alves, Chastity Crawley, Kale McLeish, JG3, great to see you, man. Zauber96, Giovanni Palaya. We've got Lucas Spoken, all you fine people, Doug McCauley. Much love to all you guys. Have an awesome weekend. We'll see you guys back here on Thursday, June 13th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I am your host, John. He is Brian. And as always, guys, Carpe Diem.